So, welcome to my channel. My name is Luke. I'm 22 and I'm from Ireland. This video is going to be kind of an introduction to this channel. Obviously this is my first video, so I'm just going to be giving you guys a bit of a background as to who I am and what I'm kind of aiming to do with the channel. So yeah, like it's mostly just going to be based around cars. Those are that is my biggest passion, I should say. At the moment, I'm working a minimum wage job, so I'm going to be kind of documenting what that's like, you know, saving up for a car. Yeah, the type of money that you'd be earning, you know, I'm sure a lot of you guys can probably relate to that if you're watching this. As far as minimum wage goes, it can be quite difficult. Like some of us are in more fortunate positions than others. You know, it depends on your overheads and whether you're still living from home, those types of things. Obviously, if you're living away from home, it's even more difficult. You know, you have to pay for rent, things like that. Kind of your own overheads, which obviously does slow down the process of getting something expensive like a car. Like, I'm aiming to do it without a loan. I kind of like the idea of just owning the car outright, you know. Yeah, so I'm going to be kind of working towards an E11 Corolla over the next few months. I do have a bit of savings put together already, kind of roughly halfway there. Kind of aim to save up about like €5,000 roughly. The market value for E11s, whether it's like Facebook Marketplace or Done Deal, it can kind of be all over the place, you know, based on obvious things like the condition of the car, whether it's already modified or not. Like I'm kind of aiming to get one that isn't modified, ideally, so that I can actually just build it from scratch, build it exactly how I want to, you know, like all the usual kind of mods. If we're talking like catback exhaust, getting some rims, lowering springs, coilovers, budget allowing. Might be kind of slightly ambitious, but we won't say no. Yeah, things like that, you know, like the usual kind of modifications and things like that. And I hope to kind of document that journey on this channel, whether, you know, it's the savings aspect of it, the kind of mindset to have, maybe my attitude kind of around resisting spending my money on things that don't really lead to the long-term goal. So yeah, like as I was saying, like I'm kind of in a fortunate position where I can save half my current income and put it towards the pot for getting the car. Obviously while living from home and having practically no overheads is obviously a big help. I did have a loan to pay off prior to this. So I think, you know, that was basically I was allocating half my weekly income to that to pay it off faster. It was initially a 5-year loan. I had tried out college and needed to take out a loan to pay for fees and accommodation and that sort of thing. So I was dedicating half my income, weekly income, to that in order to speed it up. So I had to pay it off within kind of a year and a half, and this is only probably going back about 4 or 5 weeks now, I want to say, since I've paid it off. So it's only really been now that I can kind of lock in with the savings for the car. Yeah, I went through a bunch of different phases, if you want to call them that, like where I was spending money on things that were kind of not related to cars. I don't think it wasn't really until I got my driving license that I actually kind of sat down and that kind of childhood passion for cars started to come back around. As a child, like, you know, when I was like 5 or 6, it's probably going back to like 2007, 2008, I kind of caught the tail end of the Celtic Tiger sort of JDM boom that we had. I think it was Juicebox or something like that. They had a video on it recently. I was just watching it, and I had never really seen it, like, you know, documented in that way. Like, yeah, so you'd be used to like hearing and seeing Glanzas, Honda Civics, all these sorts of things going up and down your road. And I remember just thinking I would love to own, you know, like a car like that, kind of being like the JDM scene in particular. And yeah, like flash forward to now, like obviously you see the prices of those cars on Done Deal. Like, you know, they're no longer 2 or 3k or whatever they were back then if you were buying them second hand. You know, like it's almost always over 10k, and if it's not over 10k, it's probably a car that's in questionable condition, you know, like probably a structural rust or something crazy, you know. Obviously anyone that's into JDM cars, we know rust is a major issue. They come from countries with unsalted roads, come over here, get introduced to salted roads, and car starts to disintegrate over time. You know, you'd be losing sills, floor, pans, all sorts of things, you know, like structural issues. And obviously that's a massive expense if you want to, you know, fix that. So yeah, that type of thing like got me thinking then. And then, you know, you're kind of comparing your income to those cars and how long it's going to take, stuff like that. Obviously it was a given that it was going to take time to save up for, but I don't know, maybe it was just a realization that I came to, that like, you know, you might see a Honda Accord Euro or something like that, CL7, and you'll see that it's like 11 or 12k. I don't really know what they go for at the moment necessarily. I know it's somewhere between 8 and 10 anyway, but you're kind of putting 2 and 2 together and you're like, you know, how am I supposed to own this? Like obviously you can, you know, you can go down the route of loans and things like that, but like kind of without you know, committing to a loan for a car. And other nice cars, things like that, and a lot of people that do have expensive cars probably will go down that route. But yeah, like my goal has always been like to kind of be in a position where I buy that outright and that it is my car, you know, like I'm not, you know, committed to paying back a loan. God forbid something happens to the car while I'm paying back the loan, I'm kind of paying back a loan for something I don't have anymore. So yeah, that's, you know, that's why I'm kind of going down the route with the E11. Obviously the other thing is like I've only been driving for about 7 months, so I'm still on my end plates. And yeah, you know, like when you're under 25, as I said, I'm 22, so it's very difficult to get insured, if at all, especially with being on your ends and under 25. Anything kind of like 2 litre or anything like that, I'm sure there's some loopholes where you could have named drivers, something like that, throw the parents onto it or something. But yeah, like generally like having a policy in your own name, it's obviously quite difficult to, if at all possible, to get something like, I don't know, Honda Accord or even a Honda Civic EP3 Type R or something like that. Yeah, probably blacklisted by racer cars as well, which, yeah, you know, that it is what it is. Like, you know, you just not a whole lot you can do. So you have the whole other deal then of, you know, a car turning 30 years old, and sometimes I think you need to be more than 25 years old to even get insurance on it. And there's something about having a daily driver along with getting a classic policy for a car. So it's a bunch of things now. Like obviously these cars were like maybe 10, 15 years old or something when I was younger, and now obviously like they're about obviously double that, 30 years old. So yeah, getting them is obviously, you know, quite difficult. They're only going up in value. There's a bunch of different things. So yeah, you know, like I'm basically looking to kind of get into the car scene, kind of, or getting not so much the car scene, obviously that's just part of it as well, but just having a car that I can call my own, that I've customized to my own liking, you know, like the exhaust I choose, the suspension that I choose, the stance, the rims, you know, getting the proper fitment, all that type of thing, you know, like upgrading your interior, whether it's like a bucket seat or, you know, custom steering wheel, all the little like kind of features, you know, the usual things that you would add, like just creating that kind of, obviously the E11, it won't be from Japan, like it is a Euro JDM, but yeah, it still kind of captures the vibe. So yeah, that's what I'm kind of planning to do with this channel. Like I'm going to try, well, not going to try, I will, famous last words, yeah, basically document my journey right up until I pick up the car, and then we can start getting, you know, properly into the videos of like what I'm working towards build wise. You know, like we'll have videos like, I'd imagine, where we're getting the exhaust done, or we're getting the suspension work done, or the rims have arrived, and we're getting that, you know, picking those types of things, or little interior mods that I do, and issues I run into along the way. It's not going to be smooth sailing, it never really is, I think. Yeah. Sorry about that. I had my phone overheated. It's like 23 degrees or something today, like 1st of May in Ireland, which is, yeah, I mean, it happens, but like 25 degrees or 23 degrees is, yeah, that's a lot. Like obviously the sun was shining on my phone as I'm sitting in the car here, but yeah, you know, like as I was saying anyway, about the E11, obviously it's bulletproof enough, it's an old Toyota, it's easy enough to mod. That's really it in a nutshell. I'll be creating some videos over the coming weeks, kind of documenting different parts, maybe a little bit more into my background. You know, like I dropped out of college twice, you know, that's something to try out there as well. So that'll be a video in of itself, like what kind of led to that, like what was going on at the time. But yeah, that's basically what it's going to be. Like, I'm going to be documenting my journey financially, you know, saving up for the car, along with actually working on the car then when it does arrive. But yeah, stay tuned. If anyone is watching this at the start or made it to the end of the video even, can be a little bit questionable these days with our attention span. I think we're so used to watching short form content. I'm pretty sure this video might be a little bit over 10 minutes or something like that. But if you did stick around to the end anyway, thank you for watching, number one. And number two, yeah, stay tuned for the coming videos.